What's up, everybody? So today's video, we're going to go over 5 really awesome sports cars that you can buy that actually cost less than your typical fully loaded minivan. Now, as my reference, brand new, fully loaded 2018 Honda Odyssey and Toyota Sienna, they go for over $50,000. Now, on top of that, I highly doubt anybody buying a $50,000 minivan really cares they don't have a cool sports car, but it's still a pretty good reference point, being that you see these cars every day, and yet you can actually get some pretty nice cars for that price. So first on the list, we're going to go with the American car, a Corvette. You can actually buy a 2014 Corvette Stingray for 50 grand on the used market, even some that are less than that. With that, you're getting a pretty new car, probably still under manufacturer's warranty, very reliable, has a lot of modern amenities and luxuries in it. It's got over 400 horsepower, a really, really good manual transmission or automatic transmission, navigation, all that kind of stuff. Pretty practical with a large trunk space, and it's a really good sports car. There's plenty of them out there. It's not hard to find. It's a good daily driver, and it's also really good on the track. Now, on top of that, you can also get a little bit older, maybe a 2013 model Z06 with over 500 horsepower, much more track focused than a C7 Stingray, and the interior is pretty plain in the C6 Corvette, but it is a track monster. You can modify it and make it just a complete V8 rear-wheel drive monster of a sports car and still drive it every single day. But if you are dead set on wanting that minivan, just pick up an 06, a little bit older model Z06 Corvette, save about $20,000 and use that $20,000 to buy a used minivan. So you can still get your minivan and your sports car. For number 2 on the list, we have the Nissan GTR. You can find a 2009 or 2010 for like $45,000 to $50,000. You're getting a reliable car. It's just a Nissan underneath, so you can take it to any Nissan dealer. Most GTR owners really don't have too many issues with them. Now, the first 2-year cars, the transmission isn't as good as later models, but it's not an unreliable car by far. It's also very, very practical. It has rear seats that are kind of small, but still pretty decent, and a really huge trunk. You can fit so much stuff in the back of a GTR. It also has technically an automatic transmission, so if you want to daily drive it, if you have a lot of traffic to deal with, it has a 0 to 60 time in the low 3 seconds, and the last time I checked, the new Honda Odyssey doesn't quite do that. And with modifications, you can turn them into an absolute monster of a car. It'll cost you probably more than the car's worth, but it is a very moddable car. It's fairly exotic looking, nothing too flashy about it, but it definitely stands out in the crowd. And overall, it's a really fun to drive car. It's practical, it's reliable, and probably one of the best things about those year models, they haven't really lost much money in 10 years. When the GTR first came out, it was only $65,000, whereas now a premium goes for $110,000. So they've nearly doubled in price, and yet a 10-year-old GTR is only about $15,000 cheaper than when it was brand new. So you're probably not going to lose any money if you buy an older GTR. Just make sure you don't buy one that has been completely abused or modified crazy. You'd rather want to get something pretty much stock. That way you can either keep it stock or have it to build into your own dream car. Number 3 on the list is the Acura NSX. Early 90s models you can find for this price range, and that car really is a budget Ferrari. When the car came out, it was literally designed to compete right next to Ferrari as the reliable, more affordable version. It's got a V6 engine with not the most power, but it doesn't weigh much, so it has plenty of power for how much it weighs. You can get it with a manual transmission, and you can even get it with a removable targa roof to enjoy the open-top experience. It also has a really large trunk behind the engine, which is behind you, so it's practical and yet really good weight balance being a mid-engine vehicle. That car absolutely looks like an exotic. People will think it is well into the $100,000 range, and yet it's not too crazy expensive. It is an older car and they're harder to find, so it's not going to have many amenities in it or luxuries, but overall though, it's exotic looking, pretty fun to drive, and definitely a really cool car. Next up is an Aston Martin Vantage. Now that car is one of the most timeless looking cars out there. You really cannot go wrong with an Aston Martin. They just look so classy the way they're designed. They're just a sculpture of pure beauty. The interior is equally as nice, very luxurious with leathers, premium trims like wood, and then the doors are really, really cool. They open up at an angle, just makes it look really nice. Now, given that it has an Aston Martin badge on it, people are definitely going to think it cost a lot of money. And since they haven't really changed in the last 10 years, aside from the brand new Aston Martin lineup, it doesn't look that much different than a 2015. So if you get a 2008, it pretty much looks like an almost new one. Reliability might not be the best out there. If you do have issues, it's a little bit harder to find an Aston Martin dealership. But if you get one with good history and you maintain it properly and drive it, don't just let it be a garage queen, it'll probably be pretty reliable for you. And last on the list is the Jaguar F-Type. Now that car looks a lot like the Aston Martin and in many ways is the budget version of an Aston Martin, but when you're looking at the used market, this same price range, you're talking about maybe a 2014 F-Type. So being a 2014, it has all the modern luxuries, power seats, navigation, all that kind of stuff. You can get it coupe or convertible, manual or automatic, and it probably will still have manufacturer's warranty on it. And by the way, I am talking about the V8 F-Type. The V8 F-Type has a 5-liter supercharged V8 engine, pumps out plenty of power, and honestly almost has supercar acceleration. It is a blisteringly quick vehicle to drive. The exhaust is probably one of the most famous features of the car. It pops like crazy. And the handling and performance, the overall package that you get in a really sleek design is kind of hard to argue. It looks super elegant, very fun to drive, fast, powerful, everything you could want. And it's also a pretty practical car. Well, there you go, everybody. Those are 5 awesome sports cars that you can buy for under $50,000, which is cheaper than a brand new minivan. All these cars are fast, they look good, they're fun to drive, pretty practical to be a daily driver, and will definitely stand out compared to the rest of the cars you're going to encounter. So if you guys enjoyed the video, be sure to give it a huge thumbs up, smash the subscribe button. I really like this kind of video just because it's funny to look at used cars, $50,000 for what used to be a high-end, super exotic, expensive car, and yet a lot of cars out on the roads, diesel trucks, minivans, Toyota Camrys even, are about that price range anyway. So it's kind of funny how a non-car enthusiast will see an Aston Martin and think it's a millionaire's car, and yet there's a good chance they have a $70,000 diesel truck or a $50,000 minivan. So it's just kind of funny to look at that. Anyway guys, hope you enjoyed the video. We'll see you all next video.